Now, before we begin, we need to talk about the speaker, Patrícia. She has been working in the QA area for more than 10 years. Patrícia has had the opportunity to participate in several projects working with different teams and cultures that led to the development of both soft and technical skills. She is a mentor, a speaker, and hashtag I am remarkable facilitator, a software QA professional, and also the founder of content creator of the project AQA Portuguesa. Please let's welcome Patricia. I will stop sharing my screen now.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here. Glad to see so many faces in here. Welcome all. Glad to be participating and to share some of my knowledge with you today. So you have already the opportunity to share what do you what do you think about QA and how what kind of bugs, what kind of type of animals do you think bugs can be? And it's really funny to see that. Let me just arrange my screen so I can see you. Otherwise, I will count on you, Shalom, to share with me any questions that might be presented. I cannot see the full screen right now, so I hope. Oh, I can see already. Forgive me. I don't know if you can already see my screen. Yeah, everything going. So I believe that you are seeing the presentation. So what it's software quality, why it's important, and based on the fact that I'm talking to front-end developers, why do you should you take care and implement it on your daily work? So let's start thinking on example to get us all on the same page. I really like this example because it's when I share it, it resounds on many people who listen. Imagine this: you have been working on a product for several months. You have been putting all your efforts, all your time. You have been creating such perfect work, and everything it's going smoothly. All the workflows are working correctly. Everything seems perfect. And today it's launch day. So everyone is really confident, really cheerful, really happy to share to the world what you have been created. And it's early in the morning, you deploy to production, and everything is apparently working well. But unexpectedly, at midday, something happened. And for some reason, you start getting a lot of messages from your customers. People are complaining that payments isn't working, the workflows isn't working, the pages are broken. What is happening? Data disappearing. You can't log on. A lot of issues being raised, a lot of problems being raised, and you don't know what is happening. Your team is scrambling to find the root cause, the time is ticking, but the damage is already being done. So the confidence of your clients has been already affected. And at that moment, when a single oversight can lead to a full-scale disaster, you probably realize that something has failed. And the thing is, you probably has taken quality as an optional thing. And based on that, you probably have not paid the much attention that you should on software QA. So you see, in the world of QA, there's often the rush to build things faster, to ship things faster, and meet deadlines that are already tight. But if quality isn't at the heart of the process, everything can fall apart just like that in an instant. And the QA acts as a safety net, so we can catch problems before they spiral out of control. So in today's presentation, I want to explore with you several questions about what is software quality assurance, why it is crucial, and how can QA and front-end developers work together and create successful projects and deliver good things for your clients. So I don't know, any questions, please raise it on the comment part. So as I said, software QA, it's a thing that it's important, but it's kind of an invisible power. So it's not just preventing disasters, as I just mentioned, it's a big disaster when it happens, but it's also about giving you confidence that you are releasing into the world a reliable, secure, and ready for your customer product. So you know for sure how customers can be really requestful and into the thing. So it's software QA, it might also be seen as the difference between rushing to fix a crisis and having the peace of mind that comes from knowing that your product is built with care. But let me just do an appointment. Even when all the QA is done, sometimes surprises happen. And sometimes the thing go off the road because you are testing in some kind of server, some kind of environment, and production, you have different data, different environment, external factors that might influence on the quality and the result of your end product. But if you have the capability and the capacity to assure that in the process you can guarantee QA, everything will be smoother and your analysis will be much more focused. So software QA goes beyond your own perception of what quality assurance is. It goes beyond testing and finding bugs, and also beyond automation, that it's now the big thing. It goes beyond approving stuff to be delivered to the clients at a fast pace that we'll work on. It's about building confidence at what we do and deliver daily. It's about ensuring quality from every angle. So I have as an objective today to challenge your perception of quality assurance and to help you understand better and to integrate it in your daily tasks. So let's jump in and understand what quality assurance really is, and why it's essential on your every software team today. So as I said, QA isn't just about catching problems. It's about the opposite, preventing them. So many issues, problems, and misunderstandings that are daily reported in software development teams could probably have been prevented if software QA was in the solution since the thinking and at the beginning of the brainstorming and designing the product. So we work in a proactive way to get the solutions better. Everything clear so far? Please let me know if anything goes off. So usually when people hear about software QA or just about QA, they usually think that QAs are persons that are sitting behind desks, running through checklists and logging bugs. So are teams of people that are basically just breaking software and bugging developers with problems. You might raise your hand if you think that QAs are buggy and noisy people. I won't mind. I won't take it personally. It's part of our job. And unfortunately, not everyone understands that in that way. So I believe that you probably have been through a moment where you needed a QA to explain what he or she does, and you have probably think that it's too easy what you do. You are just testing things, finding problems, and reporting them. Or maybe you have been already listened some jokes about the fact that QAs are frustrated people who have tried to be developers and failed. But the reality of QA, it's beyond that. So QA, it's not about just testing, as I mentioned. It's about preventing defects before they happen. It's also about ensuring that the product delivers value to user, not just that it works. And I know that you front-end developers usually are the people bugged when a button doesn't work or the color isn't correct. It might be a bug or not, but it needs to work for the perception of quality of our users. So QA, it's also about collaboration. It's not about isolation. And QA is a continuous learning. It's a process. So we deliver, test, learn each release, each sprint. As so, QA brings confidence, not just to the functionality, but to the whole process. And QA, it's like a shield between your users and your risks. So QA, it's a lot of things, and it has a lot of objectives, and a lot of things can be done under the umbrella of software QA. So I hope that from now on, in case you had the idea that software QA, it's easy, that anyone can do it, and even the person that works as QA, it's someone who wasn't able to be a developer, please think again about your misconception, or if you hear someone saying that, please share with him or her these ideas, and let's start to change some conceptions. So to reinforce and to resume, QA, for sure, it's not just finding bugs, but ensuring that they are not introduced in the first place. As Aristotle said a long time ago, quality is an act. It's not an act, it's an habit, sorry. So as we are all on the same page right now, at least I hope we are, I now can dive a little bit more to understand why it matters and why should you integrate it in your daily tasks. So I can see a few faces. So, and I believe that you are all developers, or maybe not. Maybe you can share on the chat what kind of role do you have. It's also good for us to understand what kind of audience do we have. But I'm going to assume that you've been through a situation that something went wrong in production, as the example that I shared at the beginning of my presentation, even if your QA team has tested everything. So probably you are the developer who has already said, oh, there's no need to test. It's an easy fix. I've already tested. It's okay. We can move to production. And then tester, it's that noisy person that goes to test even though and found problems. So in both situations, so if the problem goes to production and the end of the world is happening, or if you said to QA that there's no need to test and he found bugs, probably if the software QA or the QA process itself has been involved sooner on all the development process, probably those kind of problems could have been prevented, right? So I don't know if you have been through that situation, but yeah, if QA mindset, QA way of working, QA team has been involved sooner, those problems most probably have been prevented. So software QA has indeed a far-reach impact, even though it's not always seen as so. As I said, it's kind of an invisible thing, because again, it's not just catching bugs. It's also about improvement, our user satisfaction. It's about reducing costs, and we know about all investment that involves in develop a product, and develop a software, in developing functionalities, and also protects your product and company reputation. And we know in the current world how important this is. So if I can apply a metaphor as an example, I would say that QA, it's like the immune system of software development. Its absence, it's only noticed when things goes wrong. I don't know if you also add this perception or idea. And usually, who are the first to notice when something goes wrong? I may have already shared this, but you have probably the same idea. Yeah, our customers, our clients, the one that may have paid for a product in which they have are finding problems that weren't supposed to exist, or they are getting a product that was supposed to work in some way and it isn't, or even have received the product and it's not under their expectation of quality. So yeah, QA, it's also really important to prevent those kind of wrong perceptions. So QA, it's also about understanding the product from user perspective and ensuring that it's not only works as it should, beautifully with all the colors, workflows running smoothly, everything really organized, but also meet the expectation of our customers without surprises. And these surprises can be visible or most of the times hidden. Software QAs, as I mentioned, are like invisible soldiers who are not only problem solvers, strategists, but also advocates for the end users. But how can we create a structured collaboration between front-end developers and software QAs to achieve success and deliver good products? Is everything clear so far? Can I go on? In the meantime, I will just drink a little bit of water. Great. I'm seeing some thumbs up, so I believe everything is okay. So, for example, if software QA is involved in the requirement analysis phases, and if the requirements aren't aligned with the customer needs, fixing those problems earlier can save the team from costly rework down the line, right? So it's an expense prevented. At every stage of development, a software QA can add value. So for this collaboration of QAs and front ends, as an experienced QA, I can't stress enough how important it is to be involved early in the development process. When you, developer, bring us into planning meetings and discussion from the early start, we, QAs, can help you identify potential risks, clarify unclear requirements, and provide valuable input into the test strategy that is being implemented. Even if it is TDD, BDD, CDD, all the DDs that now are really frequently listened. By involving QAs early, the team can assure that the quality is baked into the project since day one, rather than trying to fix problems at the end of the cycle. In my own experience, this early collaboration reduces work, rework, and makes the whole process smoother for everyone involved. You'll see fewer surprises, which is good, and ultimately faster releases. That it's what everyone wants in this fast-paced world. One of the things I've learned in my years as QA, and there are a few already, is that shared understanding of requirements is essential for quality. As a development team, we all need to be aligned on what feature is supposed to do. If any part of the requirement is misunderstood, it can lead to bugs that won't be catched until much later, and that's not good. Rework will be done and will be needed, and I've mentioned already all the bad, the not so much good things that can bring. So I really recommend sitting down with each other as developers and QAs to refine user stories and acceptance criteria. I know that sometimes might be visible as a time that it's not needed, but it is. A simple example from my experience, it's when we have Three Amigos session. I don't know if any of you have been through the Three Amigos or the refinement sessions or this kind of analysis where developers, QAs, and product owner, for example, sit down and clarify the details of all the feature. This ensures everyone is on the same page and prevent costly misinterpretation down the road. Testing, it's not only responsibility and job from QAs. It's something that we all share as a development team. I don't know how many of you have this perception? So I've seen firsthand how powerful it's when developers take ownership of writing tests, whether they're unit tests, integration tests, or even when you developers collaborate with us on end-to-end tests. So it's about being proactive together to ensure everything is working as expected. The more we work as a team, the faster we catch bugs and the less pressure there is at the QA team when it comes to the testing moment. So one of the most effective ways we can collaborate is by using shared tools. Tools like Storybook or Cypress allows us to test components in isolation, and they are equally valuable for both developers and QAs. These shared tools make our collaboration seamless and help us avoid silos, ensuring everyone is on the same page throughout the development process. Is everything clear so far? Have you been implementing some kind of these collaboration moments between your testers, between your team, along your team, I should say? You can type it on the comment side. I would really like to hear from you. So at this moment, we understood what is software quality, how can we collaborate, developers and QAs, but you might ask, okay, but what is the value proposition of a front-end developer of implement QA on their daily tasks? So as a QA, I always appreciate it when developers take time to write comprehensive tests. Not only does it improve the quality of your code, but also reduces the number of defects I can discover later. For example, unit tests allows us to validate individual components, ensuring they function as expected in isolation. Integration tests can ensure that different parts of the system interact correctly. And yes, developers, integration tests are really, really, really important. And usually we QAs found many problems due to the fact that you ignore, and it's pointed to anyone, but you ignore the integration process. I've seen how writing tests up front helped reduces bug down the line. And that's always a win-win for the whole team. When developers take the initiative in writing tests, it makes my job easier and more focused. It's an investment in code quality that pays off for everyone, I can guarantee you. Faster bug discovery, it's one of the major advantages of embedding QA in the development process. The sooner we find issues, the cheaper and easier they are to fix. We can prevent rework. And we know that rework it will probably come at the end of the cycle when everything is already developed and integrated and everything needs to get back and redo. So when we say cheaper, it's also about time spent. It's not always related with money. So when developers write tests and collaborate with QAs from the start, we can catch bugs much easier, much earlier, before they become bigger problems. I gave a big example at the beginning of this presentation. So I've seen many cases where a simple unit test caught an issue that would be or could be slipped to the code because I might not be able to see it. It's a collaboration, as I mentioned, QA, it's not isolation, it's collaboration. So early testing help us to detect problems before they escalate, and that speed up the overall delivery process. From QA perspective, one of the biggest benefits also it's about the early testing, it's the improved user experience. And I know that you probably have been faced already some things related with user experience, that UI UX that everyone is aware and more into nowadays. So front-end developers who implement thorough, sorry, I cannot say this word correctly, thorough tests including UI and interaction tasks, make it easier for me, QA, and for my colleagues to ensure that the product is user-friendly and functional. For example, I really appreciate when developers write tests to check that all user flows are smooth and the components respond correctly under different conditions. Yeah, we need to have a good perception and a good amount of data and components and environment to analyze these user experience and user interface. So this proactive approach makes the application much more stable and ensures that when I finally test and my colleagues finally test, the experience is seamless. So the less we need to fix during testing, the better the experience for users, because we will be more focused on finding real issues, not that these interface and experience issues. As I mentioned already, and I will reinforce every time, is about collaboration. And collaborating in testing doesn't just benefit QAs, it benefits the entire team. I found that when developers help with writing tests to catch bugs early, I already mentioned the test development process, the TDD, the BDD, the test-driven development, the behavior-driven development, the context-driven development. These kind of involvement and writing tests earlier, it frees up more time for me to focus on higher level scenarios and edge cases. For example, in one of my previous projects, the developers were proactive in creating unit tests, and that significantly reduces the number of defects that I reached. So it was really important. Everyone wins at the end. As a result, I could spend more time focusing on exploratory testing and looking for issues that might not have been covered on my initial test. It might happen also. So exploratory tests, it's really important. If your QAs don't do that and they only focus on going through test plans, fixed test plans, go and incentive them to do exploratory testings. And also you developers can also do that because you have a different perspective. You are not biased by the things that are being tested. So go on for exploratory testings are really important as well. So when everyone shares responsibility for quality, it reduces rework, speed up the process, and allow us to deliver more efficiently as a team. And it's good for everyone. I'm sorry. So finally, taking a QA-focused approach as developers build trust within the team and with stakeholders. So when you developers proactively write tests and ensure quality, it shows that you care about reliability of the product. You care about what you are doing. You care about what it's being developed. So when you take that chance and not only push further the responsibility of guaranteeing quality, everyone wins. And you learn more. You'll be seen as a better team member, and you learn a lot. So I've seen that teams who consistently focus on quality from both the development and QA sides gain the trust of leadership and product owners. So this trust translates in more autonomy, clear communication, and a stronger reputation for delivering high quality products on time. Everything is clear so far. I will go to my last section of this presentation. So I hope everything is good and you are appreciating all the things that I've been sharing. So yeah. So this funny image is like to reinforce what I have been saying. QA, it's not just to break stuff. QA, it's to proactively prevent wrong things to happen bad things to happen, problems in production, teams all screaming, everyone going around like a crazy person to try to solve issues that would have been prevented if quality mindset was implemented since the beginning. So QA, sorry, I was getting back. QA, it's much more than just breaking stuff, bugging devs, and finding problems. So based on what I have been shared about this relationship between front-ends development and QAs, I think that you have now been asking, how can you front-ends proactively participate in QA? I know that I've shared some ideas, but I would like to reinforce and give you some other key points and takeaways from this presentation from a QA perspective. So from the other side of the development, so the other role of the development process. So write comprehensive tests is the foundation of a proactive test. So as developers, it's important, it's important to think about all possible scenarios, including edge cases when writing your tests for the TDD, for the BDD, for your unit tests. From my experience as QA, it's crucial to write unit tests for individual components and integration tests for how components work together. When you developers do that, you prevent a lot of problems. You also have a perception of how everything is working. I know that you don't like to find issues on your code. It's like your baby. You have developed it. You have put it time on it. You have put it effort. But problems happen, and we are all able to face them. So it's important if you catch them early, so you will be able to not be bugged by QAs pointing things that are not working correctly. So these tests not only catch errors, but also ensure that when you make changes, everything still works as expected. So it's good for you when you implement tests in your development process. So the more comprehensive the tests are, the less time I spend chasing bugs after. As I mentioned, I will reinforce collaboration. It's key when creating test plans. So as a QA, I rely on developers to help identify critical areas of the application that need thorough testing. I know QA should have and must have a clear perception and a bigger picture of how everything works, but you have the perception of how technically that works. And sometimes might have things been hidden or not completely visible or comprehensive, and your collaboration on that understanding, it's really important. So we appreciate your insights, your ideas, your sharing. I always appreciate when there is a developer that takes time to share his knowledge with me of the code it's been developing. If it's complex, if it's breaking, it's easy to break, or even if there have been problems seen before I joined the team. Sometimes it happens. I usually like to spend time to developers when they have it, to understand how have the things developed, how is the thing constructed. So this allows us to focus our efforts on areas that matter most, and it helps us to avoid redundant testing. So working together on test plans ensure that we don't miss anything important, and it makes the testing process much more efficient. Yeah, test plans, it's responsibility of QAs, but the collaboration of developers, it's really important. Accessibility is something we can't afford to overlook. Now accessibility, it's being more aware of everyone. There are USA rules, there are European rules being implemented, and things are being into the focus right now. So it's already something that developers can play a huge role in. and you front-end developers for sure. As a QA, I often rely also when developers take time to ensure that the application is accessible from the beginning. There are simple tools, from my knowledge, that helps to detect accessibility issues. And I mentioned two of them, Axe and Lighthouse. Sorry, I'm seeing development phase begin. For example, what kind of tasks on, for sure, I will take that for the end. So just to get back, so tools that can help to detect accessibility issues like the Axe and Lighthouse, or for example, you can assure that you are writing semantic HTML and using proper area roles and testing with different screen readers. It's really important, accessibility, and please go after to learn more about it. So by integrating accessibility testing into the development process, we can prevent accessibility issues from before they becoming a bottleneck during the final stages of testing. And then it comes the rework and all the time spent. So we can avoid that, and we count on you. So remember, accessibility isn't just a legal requirement. Not at all. It's a part of creating an inclusive experience for all users, and we should take that as a key from our work. Another way to proactively contribute to QA is building robust error handling. I always tell to developers that thinking about error handling upfront is one of the best things you can do for the stability of the application. For example, ensuring that errors are displayed in a user-friendly way and not the code or the message that comes from API. So when the message is clear and there are steps to resolve them, which team to contact or which we send an email, makes my testing easier and prevents confusion for users. So by anticipating potential failures and handling them gracefully, you're not only improving the user experience, you are also making it easier for QAs to test different scenarios and edge cases. So almost at the end, sorry, it's also important that even after the application goes live, we must continue to monitor and learn from real world usage. So me as QA and my teams and my colleagues, we always keep an eye on the post-release bugs and user issues, reported by by users, because they can reveal areas that we might have missed. So not only for QAs that it's important, but also for developers to learn more and to understand how the things are being implemented and how can you do better things for the future developments. So last suggestion is pair programming. So pair programming between developers and QA is one of the most effective ways to bridge the gap between coding and testing. By working side by side, we can combine our expertise to write better tests. Again, TDD, BDD, and we also understand how you implement code. For example, automation, we working on automation can leverage our work, having your insights for the code being written. So it's really important to shadow QAs. So QAs shadow developers and developers shadow QAs, and also pair programming. So participate on debugs, participate on code reviews. It's really important for everyone to learn more, work better, and develop and offer the best product. So to end up my presentation and also to save time for the questions, I should say and saying that collaboration between front-end developers and QA leads to better quality products, reduces development cycles, and improve user satisfaction. So by embracing a QA first mindset, front ends add value, reduce rework, and create seamless user experience. Thank you. Obrigada.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Patricia. That was a wonderful session.
Thank you.
And I cannot agree more. Look, oh my goodness, so many relatable, sentences. And thank you so much for this
Thank you.
session. And we have so many questions. You
I'm
know,
I'm I
I'm
see those.
excited for this. I'm
Let's
excited for this.
I will stop
Yeah.
my screen right now just to have
Okay.
your yeah. So yeah, let me just
All
move this to
right.
another screen and I can see your questions better. I don't know how can we proceed right now? If you share your
All right.
screen or if you do the questions or if I should read the questions and answer them, let me know the best approach.
Okay. No, let me read it for you, and then you can give an answer. Is that okay as
For
well?
sure.
Okay. So we have the first question from Maria. She says, "How does a team determine whether to prioritize manual or automated testing?"
Okay, that's a good question. Thank you. It depends on your objective. I know that automation seems really appealing nowadays, but it's important to understand if it really makes sense for the work that you are developing. It's important to understand if the return of the investment of the time and money that will be invested on automation will be the one desired. So if you have already, so this is the first part. If you already have been through all these analysis and now you need to prioritize manual or automated, look for the automation to all the tasks that you or the QAs are executing more than one sprint. You are running again the same tasks. They are good candidates to be automated. This is how we should prioritize manual or automated tasks. And then save time for manual tasks that can be UI UX tasks, that can be exploratory tasks, that can be performance tasks, non-functional tasks, security tasks. So the ones that require more effort and more time, and which QAs can bring QAs and with the collaboration of developers as well, can bring that human touch that will be the one required for the testing being done. I hope I was able to answer the question.
All right. Thank you so much. Maria, you can let us know in the comments, any feedback on a response, but I believe that was a wonderful response. Thank you. Also same question, another question from Maria as well. She's asking, what are the most common challenges QA teams face and how can they be addressed?
The first one and the most common one, it's problem with communication between developers, communication between the teams. Usually we are seen as noisy person, as buggy person, as the one that are finding problems, and sometimes communication might not be as fluent as it was desirable due to that. We are there to collaborate. We are there to help the team to bring more quality and to offer to the end users the best product we can do. So communication is one of the biggest challenge that we communicate. So that we face nowadays. So talk with your QAs. Don't have problems to share what you think, what you know, to call them to collaborate, to sit side by side with you, and to look both for the code that you are developing, that you are implementing, because we can bring different perspectives from you and listen to us when we raise problems. It might seem simple things, but if we are questioning and if we do not understand what is being implemented, it would probably mean that users and user will also have the same problem. So better to prevent rework and better to prevent problems to go to production. I hope I was able to answer also that question.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yes, I believe that was a wonderful response. And I can see the celebration from Maria. Thank you. Right, from Violina, pronunciation, please. She's asking, what advice would you give to front-end developers who are looking to improve the understanding of QA and testing in their workflow?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for the question. So I believe that I shared insightful ideas during this presentation, but I believe that there are a lot of content, and probably some of the ideas that I might share may not fit into the team that you are working, or maybe not fit into the context that you are into. So first, create a good relation with the QAs. Understand from them what they are doing. Then go to read more about what means QA, because usually we think, as I said, we think about QA as people who find issues, but QA, it's a mindset, it's a cultural thing. Quality assurance, it's a cultural thing. So try to understand how can you bring that cultural mindset to your daily tasks, to your daily work, to your team. Even though if you don't have testers on your team, try to understand, for example, analyze the problems that are being reported by the end users, understand what are the major problems, which are the most buggy areas from the development, and bring quality to that. How? Test it directly. Do not pass the things directly to the production. Implement some approaches like the TDD or the BDD to the code that you are developing. And last but not least, read about it. Go join communities. Try to contact people that work in quality assurance area and learn from them. It's a win-win area. We learn from you. We You learn from us. I hope I was able to to answer also.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Patricia. That was wonderful. And yes, you're right. Always learning from each other. Also from Valina as well. So imagine you are starting at now as a software QA engineer. So what would be your first steps in ensuring the quality of the software you're testing?
Hmm. So, what would be your first step in ensuring the quality of the software you're testing? First, understand what you are testing. It's not, although the end result of all the testing strategy is executing tests, that's the easiest part. It's before that, all the work that comes before that matters much. So understand what are the product that you are testing, what kind of frameworks do you the team works with, what kind of external dependency exists. You should learn more about API testing or not. You should learn more about backend testing, testing, understand how frontend and backend collaborate, understand what are the requirements from the end user, what is expected to be developed, to be delivered. And based on that, understand how the things, and based on your knowledge and on your background that you have, how can you bring that into your daily work. it There's no quick solution, there's no easy fix, and you might face some battles along the journey. Sometimes to change a cultural idea might have time, might require some effort, resilience, but go into the process, go after the persons that can bring you knowledge on what you need to test, and then you will be able to start testing and to um, deliver the best of your from your work. I
All
hope
right.
I was able to answer as well.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for answering this question as well. And we'll move into the next question from Anna. Spelling Anna. Right. So Anna's saying thank you so much, Patricia. And she's asking, could you share some more insight on QA processes that take place before the development phase begins? So, for example, what kind of tasks or preparations are typically involved at the beginning?
Sure. During my presentation, I was I was distracted by Anna question. I'm really sorry. So yeah, so QA process should start, not only it happens, but should start as soon as the product owner or the business analysis come and say, okay, there's a new thing to be developed. There's a new requirement from our end users, and let's everyone sit around this table and let's brainstorm about what we need to do, how much time do we need to implement this, how many areas we need to look after, how many changes we need to implement. And QA should be the QA member, if it exists, should be involved since that moment to bring the perspective not only from the end users and the person that tests the product, tests the functionality, and has that perspective, but also to raise some questions and some awareness that you might not, you developers, product owners, scrum masters, everyone that business analysis might not have been seeing, like uh, non-functional areas, performance, security. Believe me, there are many problems related with security, related with performance, related with accessibility that might have been foreseen and prevented if QA was involved since the beginning. So first involve the QA, then there's all the task strategy that needs to be implemented. Usually that's the main responsibility from the QAs, but usually we also tend to leverage our effort and to support our effort on the feedback that we have from developers in order to understand if any TDD, BDD, those approaches need to be implemented. What kind of task plans do we need? How much time do we have available to test? Should we also write the acceptance criteria in order to then they be used for a Gherkin approach and automation test or not? So there are a lot of points that need to be analyzed and understood before we go into the testing process. So there are a lot of things to be foreseen, to be analyzed, to be looked before all the magic of testing happened and before we deliver the test for we deliver the product for our end users. Yeah, I hope I was able to answer also this question.
Thank you. And it's sending some reactions. So thank you very much. From the chat, there doesn't seem to be any questions. So let me end up with my question. Um, just asking generally, any advice for any of us where we're as front-end developers, maybe our companies do not have QA testers. So what advice do you have for us to kind of introduce them into the act of testing the products that they have?
Yes, a funny thing, when I start my project, aqui à Portuguesa, one of the first persons to follow my project and with which I created a relationship is a developer, a front-end developer that doesn't have any QA on her team. And she was like, wow, now I can learn more from you. I can learn what is quality assurance, and I will be able to start creating the QA mindset and bring it to my colleagues and to my daily tasks as I'm following you. So my suggestion is there are so many good people around talking about software quality. On LinkedIn, you have several posts being posted daily. And if you don't know which person to look after and to start following, you can approach me and can reach me, and I will share with you some names that you can subscribe and start following in order to learn more. There are a lot of content also available on the internet, on the YouTube channel, for example, Medium articles that are also really important, and they are written in a way that both QAs and developers can understand how to bring quality as a cultural thing, as a mindset, and since the beginning. So learn, learn more, read more, and go after the tendencies, the trends, even though that might seem not really comprehensible. I almost sure that you can find someone that works in the area and it's available to explain you what does that mean, how can you implement that in your code, how can you implement that in your daily tasks. So again, communication, collaboration. Yeah, and I think I hope I was able to answer. Sorry.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I believe this is all for the question. So, yes, things are rounding up now. Just want to say thank you to everyone for joining.